Okay, fifth graders, today we are moving right along. You just took your mid-module 4 test, which I will grade soon, and you'll get back on Thursday. But we're going to chug right along, and we're going to enter it kind of into a new section. In the beginning section, the first half, we were really focused on multiplying fractions with whole numbers. Okay, and now we're going to kind of open the door, and we're going to start multiplying fractions with fractions. And as you can see, today we're going to multiply unit fractions by unit fractions, which needs me to then ask you, remind me again, what is a unit fraction? If I have 1 unit of something, that means I have 1 of those units. So in this fraction, what's the units? Halves. How many halves do I have?
1.
So this is a unit fraction. Okay. In this fraction, what are the units? 8s. How many of the 8s do I have?
3.
That's more than 1 unit, so it's 3 8s, 1. Is it a unit fraction?
No.
How do I make it into a unit fraction? I have to change the numerator to a 1. So, as a reminder, a unit fraction is any fraction that the numerator is a, thank you, 1. So today we're going to be multiplying a unit fraction by a unit fraction. Okay, that's our goal. We're going to be able to do that by the end of this lesson. So, my friend Jan, she likes to bake, and so she made 4 pans of Rice Krispie treats. Okay. She sends half of all of her pans to school with her children. How much did she send to school with her children? So go ahead and draw 4 pans of Rice Krispie treats. If she gives away half of them, how much does she give away?
2.
Right, because half of 4 is the same thing as 1/2 times 4, which is the same thing as 4 over 2, which is 2 pans. So she brought 2 pans to school. Jan's back at it, but this time she only made 2. She didn't have quite as much time tonight to make Rice Krispie treats. So she only made 2 pans of Rice Krispie treats. She still wants to send half to school, though. So how much does she send to school? 1 pan. Go ahead and draw 2 pans and show that half of it is 1 of those pans. And half of 2 is the same thing as 1/2 times 2, which is the same as 2 over 2, which is 1 pan. So whether we use a picture or we use math equations, numbers, we get the same answer. Half of what she made, which is 2, half of 2 is 1 pan. She has to make Rice Krispie treats again, but this time she only has enough time to make 1 pan of Rice Krispie treats. Go ahead and draw that 1 pan of Rice Krispie treats. Now she's so generous. She always likes to give away half of everything she makes, even if she only made 1 pan. So she's going to send half of the pan to school with her kids. How many pans of Rice Krispie treats does she send to school? This time, can I circle the entire pan?
No.
No, I have to cut it in half, and I can only circle half. Because this time, we're finding 1/2 of 1 pan only. So that, written in a math equation, is 1/2 times 1, which of course is 1/2. So in this scenario, she can only send 1/2 of a pan to school. Okay, so as you guessed, this time she only made half. She's so generous, though, she's still going to send half of everything she has to school. And we want to find out how much she's sending to school. So this time, in your pan of Rice Krispie treats, label that the entire pan is worth 1. If we don't show that this entire pan is worth 1, then it could be like the values could change, right? For example, if the entire pan was worth 10, how much did I really color in then?
5.
Right? And that's not what I want. Okay, so show that the whole thing is worth 1. Then, show that she made 1/2. Shade in half, and label it 1/2. Now, she's going to take what she made and cut it in half. You'll notice that I'm cutting the entire square, not just the part she made, because I'm going to show that this is 1/2 of 1/2. And I'm going to shade in 1/2 of that. Now, the entire unit, the entire pan, is divided into how many equal size sections now? 4, right? We can see that there's 1 section, 2, 3, 4. And how many of those sections are doubly shaded in, have blue and black shading?
1.
Yeah, only 1 section has blue and black shading. So we can show that 1/2 of 1/2 is the same as 1/2 times 1/2, because remember the word of always means multiplication. And so this is the same as 1 times 1 over 2 times 2. So in the numerator, what's 1 times 1?
1.
In the denominator, what's 2 times 2?
4.
So the answer is 1/4 of the pan. Here, for the first time today, we are multiplying a unit fraction, 1/2, by another unit fraction, 1/2. We need to be able to do it using pictures and numbers. This time, Jan has made 1/3 of a pan. She's not as generous anymore. She no longer is willing to send half of everything she has. She's only wanting to send 1/4 of what she has to school. Okay, we want to find out how many pans she makes to school. Okay, so this time, what are we trying to find? Are we trying to find 1/3 of 1/4 or 1/4 of 1/3? And does it matter? No. Go ahead and talk to each other. So a lot of times people who are trying to be fast at math, they just say, okay, I know I'm multiplying and I see two fractions, so I'm going to multiply 1/3 times 1/4. Now, for multiplication, does the order always matter? Not always, but does it sometimes matter? Yeah. And for our understanding of the scenario of the word problem context, does the order matter? Yes. So for us, order is going to matter when we write what of what. Okay? So what does she have altogether?
1/3.
She has 1/3 of a pan. So we're going to draw that first. So you're going to show that the whole pan is worth 1, but you're going to shade in one. And because you only have one color, let me show you how you can do it with just one color. You can draw diagonal lines in one direction to show that that's 1/3. Okay. Now, is she going to send the entire third to school? No, she's only going to send 1/4. So she's sending 1/4 of 1/3. Go ahead and fill in that mathematical sentence. Then what you're going to do, you'll notice we cut our thirds vertically. So we're going to cut our fourths horizontally. It's kind of like, remember when we were looking, using rectangular fraction models to draw and look for common denominators? Do you guys remember that? We're always going to cut one thing one way, and then we're going to cut the other way. Because she was sending 1/4 of her thirds to school, how many times do we want to cut horizontally? 3, so that we have 4. Good. Okay, so we're going to cut all the way across. And you're going to shade in 1/4 of it using in the other direction. Do you guys see how I did that? Okay, so you can see that this one box right here has shading in both diagonal ways. Do you guys see that? So let's look at our picture first. Now my entire pan, or Jan's entire pan, is divided into how many equal size sections? 12. 3 across, 4 down, right? And how many of those sections have cross-hatching in both directions? Double shading.
1.
So what fraction of her pan does she send to school? 1/12 of a pan. Let me show you using numbers. We were finding 1/4 of 1/3. Okay, 1/4 of 1/3, right? How do I write that using just math? Everyone?
1/4 times 1/3.
Good. 1/4 times 1/3. So what do I have in my numerators? I have 1 times 1. And what do I have in my denominators? 4 times 3. Go ahead and write that out like so. It's a little laggy, but there it is. So let's do the math. What's 1 times 1?
1.
What's 4 times 3?
12.
And so you'll see again, we get the same answer using our pictures and using our numbers.